Yo, today I'm gonna talk about how different Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves are. A lot of people are concerned like why would we play another Genshin clone? So I'm gonna talk about the real differences between the two games and also the improvements. So the first and most important thing is the combat. Genshin Impact's combat works with the elements, using 4 characters in the team. Every character has one ability, one ultimate. You can use normal attacks, charge attacks, plunge attacks, and of course you can dodge. A lot of people love the Genshin Impact combat, especially in the early game. Now for Wuthering Waves, there is 3 characters in the team. Every character has one ability, one ultimate, and one special ability. This ability is always filled with the bar, and most characters use it with the charge attack. But what's very different here is that there's something called outro skills and intro skills. You can be using one character's ultimate and then switch to another character while the ultimate is in the animation, except if this ultimate is a manual one. And also the more counters you make, because this game has a parry system for every elite enemy and boss, you will get intro skills, so it makes switching to another character very smooth. And this intro skill is very rewarding, so the game always rewards you for dodging and countering. And also the game has more movement. You can double jump, you can use a grappler, you can backflip, and you can spam the plunge attack. So this opens up so many combos. But one of the most unique things here is the ecosystem. You can use some of the mobs that you got from the world, equip them and use some of their abilities, and these echoes are very strong and they have different abilities. Some of them can do so much damage, some of them can buff, some of them can heal, you know the drill. Now since this is a gacha game, we have to talk about the gacha systems and rates. For the normal banners, it's not very different, it's just an improvement. So Wuthering Waves has more rates, so you have more chance of getting a 4-star or 5-star, but the big difference is mostly in the weapon banners, because the weapon banners don't have a 50-50, and whenever you wish on a banner, you are guaranteed to get the weapon that you want. And you can get every 5-star you want at 80 pity. And this seems very good, but also it depends on how generous the game will be, which is something I will talk about in another video, so be sure to subscribe. Another big different thing here, since we know that the game heavily focuses on combat, Wuthering Waves will have more endgame content than Genshin Impact, starting with 3 different modes. One of them is very casual, the other one is mostly a stat check like the Abyss, but with a little bit of more strategy with the energy system. And lastly, we have the hologram, which is more hardcore because it has very difficult bosses that always one-shot you, and it brings up a very good challenge. With that said, even the weekly bosses like Scar will be very cool and very fun to play against. And like Genshin Impact, some of the bosses can be a little slow, especially if this boss isn't in the hologram, but a lot of other bosses are crazy. Now for the explorations, the puzzles and everything like that is kinda similar. Genshin does have some better puzzles, Wuthering Waves also has some fun puzzles too, but the huge difference here is the movement. In Genshin Impact you will need mobility characters, you will probably need Yelan or Lynette, and for vertical you probably need a Kazuha or a Scaramouche, and they're kinda doing a good job with the latest characters by giving them a lot of mobility, because this is a problem in Genshin Impact and they're kinda trying to stop it. But in Wuthering Waves you do not need any of that, because first you have double jumps, you have a grappler, but the most helpful thing will be wall running. Yes, you don't need to climb anything here. And also the stamina system doesn't take your stamina when you are sprinting, you only use stamina when in combat or wall running. And I would like mounts to be added in Wuthering Waves, to be honest. I think it will be a very good addition to the game. They can add some farmable mounts, some gacha mounts too, why not? Because a lot of people like mounts just because they like mounts, so I don't see a problem with adding mounts to the game, to be honest. Now for the world building and the story, it's very different. Like we cannot compare the two, to be honest, but if we compare something is that Genshin Impact's lore is very advanced now and it has so many good things in it, while the Wuthering Waves lore just started. So we do not know how good it will be, but for the start it was mid. It wasn't as good as the start of Honkai Star Rail, for example. But if we compare it to 1.0 Genshin, it was a little bit better, but also had the problems of a lot of other gacha game storytellings, and I hope that it improves actually. But I don't think that the Genshin 1.0 is something to be compared to. It was like a mistake from Hoyo. Shit was so ass I had to cut my ears off and burn my house down, that's crazy. But if they showed something in the story in the beta, is that they are not scared to do anything to the characters, and that's why I'm gonna talk about the difference that nobody's talking about. But the game is rated 16+, unlike Genshin, which which is 12 plus. I'm not memeing here. When the game is rated 16 plus, the developers in the story will have more freedom to do a lot of other things that Genshin cannot do. They can take it a step further, and I'm so excited to see how this will be. So another difference, the stamina system, and also, you can call it the resin. You have more resin in Wuthering Waves, which is 240, and I'm pretty sure it gets filled faster. But of course, this might change when the game comes out because this was in the CBT2. But not only that, the gearing system or the echoes do not require resin. So this means that you can infinitely farm for gear in this game, which gives you more hours and things to do. The stats that you get will be maximized from the start. So if you get crit damage from level 4, you will get it at max roll. You don't need to level it up and lose XP and things like that. People might see it as something good and other people will see it bad. I can see both, to be honest. Now there's a lot of people that are saying that the environment in the game is bad, it's so pale. Some places are different, but from what I played, the world looks so good, to be honest. There's a lot of beautiful places that you can go to. I mean, look at the environment. Okay, I have to move the mouse more. I'm playing on low DPI, okay? You might say that Hoyo does so much things in the environment better, and I might not disagree. Now, there is a lot of other little differences, but all of them are mostly improvements or the same. For example, the ping in this game doesn't matter. If you have 60 ping or 900, it will not be different. And that's why basically you can choose any server that you want, unless you will play a lot of co-op. Here, you will need your ping, as any other game. But why is this very important? This means that the start of the game or the launch of the game with more than 31 million pre-registrations will be mostly smooth. Now there's also a difference in the weapons, which is instead of having bow characters, we have melee characters, and I think this was a very good choice. Although I think that a game like Honkai Star Rail or Tower Fantasy are still making a better job at giving you more variety of weapons, because in Honkai Star Rail you just get a light cone and then you see the weapon, and in Tower Fantasy you just get a weapon. So it gives more freedom to the developers to make new characters, but adding melee characters or melee weapon is a very good choice, to be honest. Since a 4-star character in Genshin called Heizu got so much praise for his gameplay because it was melee, so they can create so many characters that are good with melee. So this is not a rip-off from Genshin Impact. The game takes so many things like Genshin Impact, but it has so many changes and improvements. Kuro Games is trying to tell you that this is Genshin but better. I don't know if it will beat Genshin though, but this will probably be a new successful gacha game that we will have so much fun playing. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That was the video. Bye bye.